Lagos was originally named Oko, then later Eko, a Benin word which means war camp. Eko refers particularly to Lagos Island, which was the original settlement and present day center of the city. The name Lagos was adopted by Portuguese explorers who noticed the similarity between the city and that of another town in their country with the name Lagos. Lagos became Nigeria's capital city after the amalgamation of the Southern and Northern Protectorates on January 1st, 1914. The city retained its position as capital after independence until the transfer to Abuja on December 12, 1991. Created as a state on May 27, 1967, Lagos has grown to become the world's sixth largest megacity, the entertainment headquarters of Africa, the chief commercial, financial, and maritime nerve center of West Africa, and the economic capital and major port of Nigeria. Although the smallest state in terms of land mass, Lagos is home to the highest number of persons in the country. Its teeming population is an attestation to its vast potential, richness, vibrancy, and plethora of opportunities that exist in the state. Lagos is the fastest growing city in Africa and has attracted tons of immigrants and expatriates from Nigeria and beyond. The state, with the slogan Center of Excellence, has 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas. This episode explores the history of Lagos, focusing on the pre-colonial era, the colonial era, and the post-colonial era. Before the bombardment of Lagos by the British in 1851, the annexation of the state in 1861, and the amalgamation of the Northern and Southern Protectorates in 1914, Lagos already had a rich history. The settlement in the land by the Awori people, the conquest of the Awori by the Benin Kingdom, and the exploration of the land by the Portuguese are all a part of the history of Lagos. The Awori people, a Yoruba subgroup who originated from Ife, the cradle of civilization of the Yoruba, were the first to settle in the land now known as Lagos Island. History has it that the Awori are a peaceful group of people and were not given to warfare. The group departed Ife as a result of the dangers of the warring tribes plaguing Yoruba. The subgroup first settled at Okeata near Abeokuta. However, due to the infertility of the land, they moved further south. This was after a directive given by the Ifa priest, who set a bowl on the Ogun River and ordered that the destined settlement for the group is wherever the bowl sank. The boat sank at Isheri, and the group led by Olofin Ogunfuminire settled at Isheri. Ogunfuminire, which means the god of iron has given me success, led the people to Ido Island, and later proceeded beyond Ebute Metta to Lagos Island, where they sought additional agricultural land. Lagos Island would become known as Eko. Benin City was an unofficial wonder of ancient Africa for its outstanding craftsmanship with ivory, bronze, and mud. The city was home to the second largest man-made structure of all time, second only to the Great Wall of China. The defensive fortifications of the city were exceptional. Under the leadership of the Oba several trade expeditions were sent to Ghana where spices were traded. One of the traders would report about the treatment she got from the Awori people. This would cause the Oba to send another trade expedition by sea. However, the leader of the expedition arrived in the evening. The Awori, predominantly fishermen, usually wade into the water during the evening to begin their hunt for fish. The leader declined to engage them further and returned to report to the Oba that they were attacked. This fueled the Oba, who constituted a war expedition and tasked Ado to lead the expedition. However, the Awori received Ado warmly. In fact, they were so fascinated by Ado that they begged him to stay and lead them. Ado would consent to their appeal on the grounds that they accepted the leadership of the Oba of Benin and surrendered their sovereignty to him. Thus, Lagos became a vassal of the Benin Kingdom, paid tribute, and introduced Benin's advisors and rights to its court. Oba Ado, who was the first king of Lagos, changed the name from Oko to Eko, meaning war camp. The land area now known as Lagos Island is what was referred to as Eko in those times. It was here that the king's palace was built. The presence of the Benis had a profound effect on the evolution of traditional institutions in Lagos. To this day, the Oba of Lagos is the head of all the kings in the state, and his status is different from that of the other kings. He is the paramount monarch and primus inter pares of the state's traditional authorities. Oba Ado and some of the Benin warriors soon established prominent residential quarters in the northwestern part of the island. It was and still is known as Isale Eko, meaning Lower Lagos or Downtown Lagos. Eko remains the native name for Lagos. After the abolition of the slave trade, the British sought to promote legitimate trade, civilize the natives, and completely eradicate the slave trade institution which other European nations still took part in. However, absolute control of Lagos and its vast resources had to be in their hands if their mission were to be accomplished. Hence, the bombardment of the city in 1851. Oba Akintoye and Prince Kosoko were engaged in a power tussle at the time. Prince Kosoko ousted Oba Akintoye from the throne, which he claimed was rightfully his, forcing Oba Akintoye to flee to Abeokuta. The British would appoint John Beecroft as British consul in charge of the Bights of Benin and Biafra. His arrival to Lagos would, however, be in the favor of Oba Akintoye. Prince Kosoko, labeled an opponent to legitimate trade and a hindrance to the progress of civilization, was entreated to a friendship by the consul commander and asked to sign a treaty. He refused to do either. This forced the consul commander to concede to the use of force. On the eve of Christmas, the year 1851, after a first failed attempt, the British naval force outmatched Kosoko's defense, forcing him, his chiefs, and his closest supporters to flee to Egbe. Oba Akintoye was reinstated as king on January 1, 1852, and a treaty was signed for the abolition of the slave trade in the land. This would mark the beginning of the conquest of Lagos by the colonial masters. Before the bombardment and occupation of Lagos by the British in 1851, The land had been important in the slave trade. The occupation of the land by the British and the treaty signed in 1852 by Oba Akintoye saw resistance placed on the slave trade in the land. The arrival of French gunboats in the Bight of Benin forced the British to occupy the land and further caused them to reinstate Oba Akintoye, who served as a puppet to the British. Before his demise, Oba Akintoye secretly arranged for his son Dosumu to be king. His death, however, brought a leadership tussle in Lagos. Oba Dosumu could neither keep nor suppress the slave trade. He would be accused of reviving the slave trade in the land. The well-meaning but weak Dosumu was persuaded to cede the port and island of Lagos in return for a pension. The Oba, afraid that the British might no longer support him, hence allowing Prince Kosoko to strike, gave in to the demands of the British. On August 6, 1862, Lagos was officially converted into a protectorate, a British colony. That same year, a separate government known as the Lagos Organization was created. The British authorities put measures in place to ensure that no harm came to Oba Dosumu. He was given a yearly pension of 1,200 bags of cowries, estimated at £1,030 annually, as long as he abided by the Treaty of August 6, 1862. The defeat and annexation of Lagos placed the British in absolute control of the land and further heightened their sense of authority. The British sought to expand their authority and control over the territory known today as Nigeria. At the end of the 19th century and early 20th century, the British had subdued Lagos, had the Southern Protectorate as theirs after the 1884 Berlin Conference, and had overthrown the Sokoto Caliphate in 1903, thus having absolute control of the Northern Protectorate. At the time, there were three different territories: the Lagos Colony, the Southern Protectorate, and the Northern Protectorate. Sir Walter Egerton, governor of Lagos Colony at the time, fused the Lagos Colony into the Southern Protectorate in the year 1906. Thus, there were two protectorates, the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate. On January 1st, 1914, Lord Lugard amalgamated both protectorates into one geographical entity, today known as Nigeria. Lagos was declared as its capital. The land Lagos would also be declared as a first-class township in 1917. After the country gained independence in 1960, Lagos retained its position as federal capital and remained so until 1991. On May 27, 1967, Lagos was created as a state by virtue of State Decree No. 14 of 1967, which restructured Nigeria's federation into 12 states. This decree was promulgated by the Yakubu Gowon regime. Lagos functioned as the federal capital and also as the state capital. However, the state capital was later moved to Ikeja in 1976 and the federal capital moved to Abuja in 1991. As of 2015, the metropolitan population of Lagos is believed to be 20 million people.